Most families who built Barndominiums in the last decade designed their workspace as an afterthought. A desk in the corner of the bedroom, a table at the end of the kitchen island, a spare room with a door that does not quite block the sound of everyone else's day. That was acceptable when working from home was a temporary arrangement. It is not acceptable when working from home is the permanent condition of your professional life, and for a growing number of families, it is exactly that. Here is what structural engineers and residential architects who specialize in work-from-home design keep coming back to. The Barndominium with a dedicated work wing solves 5 specific problems that no other single-story layout even attempts to address. 5 problems, 1 footprint. 2 wings, 1 connecting spine, 1 geometry that separates professional life from family life without requiring you to leave your property. Engineers recommend it for acoustic and structural reasons. Families who have built it recommend it because their professional relationships and their family relationships both improved. And there is a third reason on this list, one most designers will not say directly in a client meeting, that we will get to in a moment. By the end of this, you will either be rethinking your floor plan around a dedicated work wing, or you will know exactly why a different layout serves you better. Both outcomes are worth the next few minutes. Let's go. So what exactly is a home office wing Barndominium, and why does it perform differently from every other work-from-home setup being built right now? Picture the letter H lying flat on your land. 2 parallel wings left and right running front to back, a connecting spine in the middle joining them. That spine is the heart of the home. The kitchen, the dining room, the main living space, everything shared, everything central, positioned exactly where the crossbar of the H sits. One wing is the primary household. Bedrooms, bathrooms, private family space, everything the family needs to live. The other wing is the work wing, a private office or suite of offices, a dedicated entrance for clients or colleagues if needed. Its own bathroom so a professional meeting does not require crossing through the family's living space. A kitchenette or coffee station if the work day runs long. Sound isolation that no shared wall construction can match. The courtyard the H creates between those wings is not wasted land. It is the transition space, the decompression zone between the professional half of the building and the personal half. At the end of the workday, you walk through the courtyard or through the connecting spine, and you cross from work mode to family mode in a physical, spatial way that no home office corner or spare bedroom can provide. The transition is built into the footprint. The psychology of the boundary is structural. The courtyard itself does not require a pool, a garden, a covered seating space, a fire pit. A play area where children can be visible from the work wing through glass but not audible inside it. The geometry works without a pool because the geometry, again, is the point. The design is single-story. That is a deliberate choice. One level means equipment moves easily between office and home. A grandparent visiting and taking care of grandchildren in one wing does not disrupt a client call happening in the other. Sound does not travel vertically. Acoustics in a single-story 2-wing design are measurably better than in a 2-story home where work and family occupy different floors of the same acoustic shell. The privacy the work wing delivers is not created by a closed door. It is created by distance, the full length of the connecting spine, and by the absence of shared walls between the wings. A video call in the work wing does not carry into the family living space. A child's lunch hour does not interrupt the work wing. The geometry creates separation without requiring anyone to leave home. Before we get into the 5 reasons, there is the third one, that most residential architects will not say in a client meeting. It has to do with what the dedicated work wing does to the psychological boundary between professional identity and family identity over years of working from home. Not the acoustics, not the light, the identity. Stay with us on that one. The first reason engineers recommend the dedicated work wing is the one that surprises people most. Every room in the work wing gets real, consistent, controllable natural light. In a standard Barndominium with a corner office or spare room workspace, the work area typically sits on one exterior wall with one fixed window orientation. In the morning, that window faces the sun directly, glare on the screen, heat gain in the room, the constant adjustment of blinds that never quite solves the problem. In the afternoon, the same room is in shadow and artificial light runs all day. The 2-wing design solves this structurally. Because the work wing is a separate parallel structure to the primary household wing, its orientation can be independently optimized for work hour light. The courtyard-facing wall of the work wing receives diffused, consistent light, not direct solar exposure, not glare, but the even natural illumination that knowledge workers, designers, and professionals who spend their days on screens actually need. The outward-facing wall of the work wing can be positioned to catch morning light if the work schedule benefits from it, or to avoid afternoon west-facing glare if it does not. This is not a small advantage. Research on workplace design consistently shows that access to natural light is the most cited environmental factor affecting workplace satisfaction and cognitive performance. Employees in naturally lit workplaces report significantly better sleep quality, higher alertness, and measurably better performance on tasks requiring sustained attention. When the workplace is inside your home, these effects compound across years rather than being spread across a commuting population. There is also a structural load argument here that engineers value. The two-wing design distributes load across two wings and a connecting spine. The work wing, properly engineered, creates natural bracing points on one side of the structure. In high-wind regions, which includes a significant portion of the Barndominium market in the American South and Midwest, the distributed footprint of the H performs better structurally than a single long rectangle of equivalent square footage. The work wing is not just a productivity tool. It is a structurally sound geometry that happens to solve the light problem no corner desk can solve. The second reason is where the dedicated work wing separates itself completely from every other work-from-home arrangement, and it comes down to one word. Acoustics. Working from home in an open plan or shared space arrangement means living with the constant possibility of interruption. The child who appears in the background of a client video call. The sound of the dishwasher running during a podcast recording. The conversation in the kitchen that carries into the bedroom office because sound travels through shared walls and open spaces in ways that no noise-canceling headphone fully compensates for. The dedicated work wing solves this differently. The work wing and the primary household wing do not share a wall. They do not share a roofline junction. Sound does not travel between them through shared construction materials. A video conference in the work wing is acoustically isolated from the primary household in the same way that two separate buildings on the same property would be. Because structurally, that is almost exactly what they are. This matters more than most residential architects acknowledge when designing for remote workers. According to research published in acoustic engineering and workplace design journals, acoustic privacy is the single most cited source of productivity loss in home office environments. More than visual distraction, more than ergonomic issues, more than technology problems. The inability to control the sound environment is what makes working from home difficult for the majority of knowledge workers who do it full-time. The two-wing design eliminates that problem structurally. You do not need acoustic panels. You do not need white noise machines. You do not need a specific room position or a particular door. The geometry creates acoustic separation automatically across the full length of the connecting spine. There is also a critical practical point here about clients and colleagues. The dedicated work wing can have its own entrance from the exterior, a professional entrance that does not route visitors through the family's living space. For professionals who see clients at home, for therapists, consultants, tutors, designers, and the growing number of knowledge workers who occasionally need to host professional meetings on their property, this matters enormously. The client arrives at the work wing entrance. The meeting takes place. The client leaves. The family's living space is never involved. The kitchenette in the work wing, a coffee station, a compact refrigerator, a microwave means a full professional workday does not require trips through the family kitchen every hour. This sounds like a small thing. Over the course of a year of full-time remote work, it is not small. Here is the reason most architects will not say out loud. The dedicated work wing does not just separate the sounds. It separates the identities. And for people who work from home full-time, that separation is not a convenience. It is a mental health requirement. Working from home in a shared space, a corner of the bedroom, a desk in the living room, a converted spare room, means that the visual and spatial cues that tell your brain you are at work are never fully present, and the cues that tell your brain you are home are never fully absent. You sit down at the kitchen table to work and the dishes are visible. You sit in the bedroom office and the unmade bed is in your peripheral vision. You are never quite at work. You are never quite at home. You are permanently in a hybrid state that the human brain did not evolve to sustain across years. The dedicated work wing solves this spatially. When you walk into the work wing, the spatial cues are professional. The room is configured for work. The light is optimized for screens. There is no domestic context in your peripheral vision. Your brain recognizes at a deep and precognitive level that you are at work. When you leave the work wing at the end of the day and walk through the courtyard or the connecting spine into the family living space, your brain recognizes at the same level that the workday is over. Day is over. This is what behavioral scientists call a commute substitute, a physical transition that creates the psychological boundary between professional and personal identity. Commuting, for all its inefficiency, served a genuine function. It gave workers a physical transition period in which the brain could shift states. Remote workers who eliminated the commute also eliminated that transition. The dedicated work wing reinstates it, not a 30-minute drive. A 60-second walk through a courtyard. Research on remote work and burnout consistently shows that the inability to psychologically detach from work at the end of the workday is the primary driver of remote work burnout, more than hours worked, more than workload, more than the quality of the work itself. The workers most likely to burn out are the workers whose physical environment gives them no signal that the workday is over. The dedicated work wing gives that signal spatially, architecturally, every single day. 2,000 years of architecture have understood the importance of threshold spaces, transitional zones between different modes of life. The Roman domus separated the public atrium from the private tablinum. The traditional Japanese home separated the Jenkin entrance from the family living space. The medieval monastery separated the cloister from the chapter house. Every enduring domestic architecture has built the psychological boundary into the building. The two-wing Barndominium inherits that wisdom and applies it to the specific challenge of 21st century professional life inside the family home. The fourth reason is about performance, specifically about what the two-wing design does passively that a standard Barndominium cannot replicate with mechanical systems alone. A standard Barndominium with a corner office or spare room workspace has one thermal zone. When you heat the house, you heat the office. When you cool the house, you cool the office. There is no ability to maintain different thermal conditions in the work area versus the family living area. No ability to keep the work wing slightly cooler for alertness during working hours and slightly warmer for comfort during family evenings. The two-wing design can be zoned. The work wing and the primary household wing can be on separate HVAC zones. The work wing can maintain the slightly lower temperature, typically 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, that research consistently associates with optimal cognitive performance during working hours. The primary household can maintain the slightly higher temperature that comfort requires for family living. These are different requirements, and a single-zone system cannot serve both simultaneously. The courtyard between the wings also does passive acoustic work. Sound traveling from one wing toward the other must cross the open courtyard space, where it dissipates rather than transmitting through shared construction materials. This passive acoustic buffer requires no mechanical system, no acoustic panel installation, no ongoing maintenance. It is built into the geometry. For cold climates, the work wing calculus does not disappear. A south-facing courtyard, opening between the wings, captures winter sun into the transition space. A well-insulated work wing with properly specified glazing maintains comfortable working temperatures without the heat loss that large glass areas create in poorly designed home offices. Cold climate two-wing Barndominiums require specific engineering attention at the connecting spine. Snow load and thermal bridging at the wing spine junctions are real design issues that need to be solved in the design phase, not after construction. On the garage question, which comes up consistently in this context, in any climate, the path from car to work desk matters for the same reason the path from car to kitchen matters in family planning. An attached garage on the work wing end, or on the primary household end with interior access through the spine, means arriving in professional mode in any weather without crossing outdoor space. Design that path deliberately. The fifth reason is the one that makes the dedicated work wing genuinely different from every other home office arrangement when you extend the timeline. Most home offices are designed for the professional situation the family is in right now. A single remote worker gets a spare room. A couple with two remote workers negotiates the second bedroom and the kitchen table. When the professional situation changes, a new employer, a different career, a spouse who also goes remote, a business that starts to grow, the home fights back. There is no room for another desk. There is no acoustic separation for two simultaneous video calls. There is no client entrance that does not route through the family's living space. The dedicated work wing is not designed for one professional stage. It is designed to evolve. In the early years, the work wing is one person's full office, a proper workspace with good light, acoustic separation, a professional entrance, and enough square footage to think clearly. When a spouse also transitions to remote work, the wing accommodates two desks without the acoustic conflict that shared space creates. When a small business starts to grow and requires occasional client visits, the existing separate entrance handles it without renovation. When the work nature changes from screen-based knowledge work to creative studio work to inventory-based home business, the wing converts without structural modification. When the professional chapter eventually changes, retirement, career transition, children who have grown and are now themselves professionals working remotely, the work wing converts again. A rental unit with its own entrance, its own bathroom, its own kitchenette. A professional suite for an adult child establishing a practice. A studio, a home-based educational space. The wing does not know what it is supposed to be. That is its greatest quality. This flexibility is not possible in a standard barndominium without significant renovation. Adding a separate entrance, repositioning a bathroom, installing a kitchenette in a converted spare room, these are structural modifications that require permits, contractors, and disruption. In the two-wing design, the separate entrance was always there. The separate bathroom was always there. The acoustic separation was always there. What changes is the equipment and the intention. For families who cannot afford the full two-wing design now, build the spine and one wing first. Live and work in it. Add the dedicated work wing when the professional situation, the budget, and the family stage align. Build it right the first time when you can. Commission it from an architect who has actually designed for remote work, not someone who will adapt a standard residential plan. The acoustic specifications for a professional work wing are different from residential specifications. Get them right in design. This channel does not sell floor plans. We do not earn a commission if you build. So here is the honest version. The first trade-off is square footage allocation. A dedicated work wing uses square footage that could be living space, guest space, or storage. For families where one or both partners work remotely full-time, that allocation is clearly justified. The productivity and quality of life return is measurable. For families where remote work is occasional or partial, the calculus is less clear. Be honest about how much you actually work from home before you allocate an entire wing to it. The second trade-off is cost. More roofline, more exterior wall, more foundation perimeter than a rectangle. The two-wing design costs more per square foot to build than a simple rectangle of equivalent interior space. For the families and professionals it genuinely serves, that premium is justified across the life of the building. But the premium is real, and a work wing that sits unused half the week is an expensive spare room. The third trade-off is design sensitivity. The proportions of the work wing relative to the primary household wing require a designer who understands how the two zones will actually be used across a professional day. A work wing that is too small for the actual work being done creates a worse situation than a corner desk, because it has the form of a proper workspace without the function. A work wing that is oversized creates heating, cooling, and acoustic issues of its own. The courtyard width, the distance between the work wing and the household wing, determines how effective the psychological separation actually is. Too narrow and the separation feels symbolic. Too wide and the two wings lose their relationship as a single building. Commission this properly. Find a designer with specific experience in residential professional workspaces. Ask to see completed projects where the work wing has been in active use for at least 2 years. Ask to speak with the professionals who work in them daily. Here is what this comes down to. Most remote workers at some point in the last 5 years have sat at a kitchen table or a bedroom desk and thought, there has to be a better way to do this. Not a co-working space. Not a commute to an office they left for a reason. Something that keeps them home, keeps them present for their family, and still gives them a place to be a professional without the constant friction of the two identities sharing the same physical space. That thought is not naive. It is not unrealistic. It is 2,000 years of accumulated human wisdom about how people do their best work. Wisdom the Romans encoded in the distinction between the public atrium and the private study, that the medieval monastery encoded in the separation between cloister and chapter house, that the traditional Japanese home encoded in the Jenkin threshold. The two-wing Barndominium delivers that separation as a building. It will not be right for every lot, every budget, or every professional situation. But for the remote worker who is building a home designed to last decades, who wants a workspace that grows with their career rather than constraining it, this geometry is worth every difficult conversation required to get it right. 2 questions for the comments. First, the practical one, what is your current work-from-home arrangement and what is the single biggest problem it creates? A desk in the bedroom, a kitchen table that never quite clears. Sound that travels everywhere. Give us the specific problem. We read every comment on this channel and we will respond personally to every answer. Second, the personal one, which of the 5 reasons hit hardest for you? The natural light advantage, the acoustic separation, the psychology of the work-home boundary, the thermal zoning, or the lifetime flexibility, the wing that does not know what it is supposed to be professionally yet. Tell us which one you are still thinking about. If this went deeper than what you usually find, subscribe. That is what this channel does, not surface tour, not specification lists. Real design thinking for families and professionals serious about building right. We will see you in the next one.